Hey there, Skullheads. I'm Snags.
And I'm Ol Silky.
And Silky's wife's bra is on the bed
That's
behind him. Or is it
no, this
pink?
is the pile.
The pile, laundry pile. I
Yes.
was
Yeah,
right before we started recording. I was like, is that a pink bra?
that's
And
fantastic.
as I'm saying, hello, Skullheads, he's trying to cover it up.
Yeah, I tried to throw a shirt on it, but whatever. Damage is done.
Yeah, we don't show video on this podcast, so
Yeah.
your wife's bra is safe.
Oh no, it's
Yeah.
not mine. I swear.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah. So tonight, pre-show, uh, I stumble upon a Van Halen concert from '82 that I actually was supposed to go to that show. Some neighbors had an extra ticket. My mom wouldn't let me go.
This would have been the Diver Down tour.
Yeah, I was like
Yeah.
11. It would have been.
Oh, I have seen a full Diver Down concert on YouTube. This is
Yeah.
not the first one that's been posted, and they were just on fire on that tour.
But this would
On
have been
fucking fire.
This would have been the venue that I was close to and could
Oh,
have
this
gone.
actual concert?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the one you would have
yeah.
gone to. Oh,
I would
wow.
have gone to that. I would have been at that show.
So I run across this on Eddie Trunk's X page. He posted it today. Just clear footage. I haven't seen it yet. I played the first few seconds, but audio and video are crystal clear. I'm like, holy shit! I gotta tell Silky about this. I text it to him, and he texts it to me right at the same time. Literally, I dropped it, and then his popped up. And I'm like, wait, what just happened? And he's like, wait, I texted that to you. Fucking hilarious.
Oh, yeah. So then it's like a pissing contest of who sent it to who, but we'll settle that.
I technically sent it first.
Yeah.
But, all right,
I
so
saw it first.
Go to snagsandsilky.com, buy shit, follow us on Spotify and YouTube. Got that out of the way. Now, why don't you tell these cats what tonight's episode?
There's a playlist called Eye on the Sparrow, which accompanies this specific episode. And it's just chock full of songs that are drug related or, some type of affiliation to tonight's subject. This is episode 91. And we're talking about TV 70s cop shows. And we're going to get into just a whole background and pre and post and all that. But that's tonight's episode. You got anything else you want to say before I start on this?
Now lay it on us, brother.
All right. So by 1955, most homes in America had a TV. Some of the top shows were Lassie, The Ed Sullivan Show, I Love Lucy, Father Knows Best, Leave It to Beaver, The Honeymooners, Gunsmoke, Dragnet. These were all big shows. And sci-fi shows in the 70s, you had TZ, Sci-Fi Theater, Tales of Tomorrow, Space Patrol, Flash Gordon.
I think you meant in the 50s, not the 70s.
I meant 50s. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is still. So what I'm establishing is you had popular shows, but you had all the sci-fi stuff. You had the bomb shelters in the backyard, news of Sputnik going around the planet. And so all these sci-fi shows, Tales of Tomorrow, Space Patrol, Flash Gordon, Commando Cody, Sky Marshal of the Universe, Captain Z-RO, Zero. So kids of this time soaked up all this shit. There was a polished squeaky clean image of Americana in place per Ricky and Lucy Ricardo, June and Ward Cleaver.
Father Knows Best, all that shit.
Yeah.
Ricky Nelson.
Ozzie and Harriet. Solid marriages, goofy kids with zany friends that were, a little dangerous, a little bad. And this image would hold, and many think this was how it really was. And
well, you had to make people
few.
forget the concentration camps and the obliterated nuclear annihilation and Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Let's balance that all off with some blandness for about a decade.
And I think a lot of that fueled your punk scene just a few years later. They grew up with that and were a bit angsty.
Same decade, it was fueling the beatniks and the rock and roll. Bill Haley and all that shit was a reaction against it. The Jazz Cats, Charlie Parker and all. John Coltrane.
So, many dysfunctional families were prevalent due to post-World War II trauma, PTSD, single mom widows thanks to the war, alcohol, that kind of thing. But you had Dragnet in the 50s, Mike Hammer, pioneering what the 70s were going to be all about. By the late 60s, the Western had gone into space, a la Captain Kirk and Spock and Bones.
Can we talk about that Mike Hammer series just a little bit?
I've got a spot for it in a minute.
All right.
They were still extremely popular. Shows like The Outcast, Lancer, The Virginian, Wild Wild West, Big Valley, Bonanza, Gunsmoke, Rifleman, The Rebel, which had a theme song by Johnny Cash. The Rebel ran 2 seasons. It was canceled due to strong violence.
Nice.
That had 76 episodes, but again, strong violence. You go to the Mike Hammer with Darren McGavin, and that ran 2 seasons, and that was extremely violent. This right here,
which you guys can't see, he's holding up the Mike Hammer DVD set, which I haven't bought yet, but I'm gonna buy it eventually when I want to lay out the $80.
No, I got this for look on
eBay.
Look on eBay. Look on Amazon used.
Yeah.
Don't drop $80 on this.
Tell them about the ongoing theme that I was driving home from work. You're telling me there's an ongoing theme in this show.
Oh yeah. So there's quite a few people get chunked out windows in this show. This ran 78 episodes in the 50s, and it just hilarious. You'll have a big fist fight, and then I guess where you don't know what to do with the body, we can't have the body just laying on the floor. We got to wrap up this scene. We'll just throw them out the window, and they're in a high rise. I mean, this guy's 80 floors up, and he just pitches him out the window. But it was like a running theme. I lost count how many of these people were just
chucked out the window.
Yeah, fight scene in the guy's apartment and then out the window.
Nice.
It just hilarious. But again, another mid-50s show that had a rather strong violence meter,
Right, yeah.
But, so if you go further back in the 20s, many audiences cheered at Charlie Chaplin's tramp kicking the cop in the ass. And cops are often unpopular in society. However, shows, again, like Mike Hammer with Darren McGavin, Dragnet, Peter Gunn, Adam 12, even a show called Decoy would influence a decade and change how we would look at cops, at least on TV. So one of the first shows, I mean, we've kind of touched on a few, but I wanted to talk about Decoy, which ran from 57 to 58, had 39 episodes, and this was the first American police show to feature a female lead, played by Beverly Garland. And she was this badass that was in Roger Corman movies.
Cool.
Especially, she's in a Roger Corman movie called Swamp Women. Her character's name is Casey Jones.
This is the cop.
Yeah.
Keep going. The cop.
She's a New York City policewoman who goes undercover in dangerous parts of the city. And that is, if you flash forward, that is exactly what Policewoman was with
Angie Dickinson.
Yeah.
Same
exact thing. The cool thing about Decoy is it was based on real cases, and they tackled sexism, domestic violence, mental health issues as early as the late 50s.
So you're seeing some foreshadowing of the 70s cop show with Mike Hammer and Decoy and some of these grittier 50s, whereas you got the family sitcom Ozzie and Harriet shit going, but even on television, there's this bubbling undercurrent of things to come.
Yeah, and that's
Nice.
why I spotlighted some of these 50s. Like, goddamn, during the prime time era, hey, let's all gather around the TV and watch the Cleavers. You send the kids to bed, and here's an episode of Decoy.
Right.
But anyway, so that show paved the way for modern leading women on TV. So we've got Decoy to blame for that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. But also in the 60s with the James Bond movies, you had Secret Agent Man, Mission Impossible, shows like Wild Wild West,
Man from Uncle.
Those were all going on. But to segue into our 70s cop show, you had Mannix, which ran 8 seasons with Mike Connors, who in the Roger Corman movies, his actor name was Touch Connors. I'm not 100 on why. What that is
about. That is weird. Yeah, why he would switch his name in the B movies unless he's like trying to save his reputation and from doing. I
just don't know why you'd call yourself Touch.
Oh, that's like Rip or Skip or something. Just
I guess. So Mike Connors was this rugged chain smoker, bourbon and pain meds, customized. He drove a customized Oldsmobile Toronado with a panoramic rearview mirror for spotting bad guys.
That's a fun show. I've seen a few episodes of that. And he basically works for a big giant corporate detective firm. So it's like the exact opposite of Rockford Files, which I'm sure we'll get to, where it's this big giant corporation and they take on hundreds of cases, and he's always getting in trouble with his boss, and it's kind of like a little bit of The Office mixed in, because there's the office politics stuff, and they always send him out on these interesting cases. Though it's a fun show.
But he drove the Mannix Roadster, and you can track down Hot Wheel versions of the Mannix Roadster.
Nice.
It's just a goofy ass car, I think, but you did have that panoramic rear view mirror when he was looking for bad guys.
That's important. Yeah, scope out all the bad guys. Yeah.
So the other thing we wanted to mention, it's not quite a cop show, but we did. Snags wanted to talk about Night Stalker.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of, it falls within the crime genre, which we'll probably be getting into a little bit of blaxploitation later too, which isn't always going to be cop exactly, but cop/crime. but we're talking about. I'm driving home, talking to Ol Silky here, who's holding up his Night Stalker DVD box sets now. And we're talking about this episode, and basically, I'm like, so we got Night Stalker in there, right? And he's like, no, it's not really a cop show. And I'm like, oh, we can't do 70s crime movies and TV and not. So I'm gonna just lay down a little bit of facts on Night Stalker, and then anything else you want to say, you can just follow up. But basically, it started out with a TV movie that was called The Night Stalker. It aired on ABC on January 11th, 1972. Stars Carl Kolchak, not Kojak, but Kolchak. Carl Kolchak, a persistent Las Vegas newspaper reporter, played by Darren McGavin, who played Mike Hammer back in the day. He's investigating a series of murders involving blood-drained victims, and he eventually uncovers a vampire named Janos Skorzeny. It achieved record-breaking ratings, and I think part of it was this mashup of genres. You've got this mystery. Mysteries, you're either going to have a cop or a private detective or a reporter. And this is the reporter mystery genre, but it mixes in this vampire. The original movie mixed in this vampire theme, record-breaking ratings, and so this
was the #1 movie of all time, winner of the Writers Guild Edgar Awards. The book was written by Jeff Rice, and then the screenplay was adapted by Richard Matheson, who is a huge
Richard Matheson's a top shelf cat. So they do a sequel called The Night Strangler in 1973. These are TV movies, remember. Now Kolchak he's in Seattle, probes a series of strangulations tied to an immortal alchemist seeking eternal life. And so these movies are combining horror, mystery, wry humor. There's a lot of little funny situations. And Kolchak is this determined, skeptical, kind of real down-to-earth reporter cat, but he's facing all these supernatural evils. And
the running gag is that he sees the vampire, but then when the police get there, the vampire's dead and just missed, and they're like, yeah, okay, and
they think he's in. They think he's in. He's always pissing off his editor too. His editor's always just
screaming,
going nuts. Yeah,
near heart attack.
There was actually a Tarantino podcast where they're interviewing him, and they were talking about the Night Stalker, and he said the guy that played the editor, he was like, Simon Oakland is his name. Tarantino was just like, I can't stand that guy's acting. He has one tone, which is irritated. That's all he plays.
Yells. Yeah.
But
what's great about the Night Stalkers, they had the 2 movies, and you would tune in Sunday night at the movies, the ABC movie night or whatever, and you didn't know what you would see. Then there was a late night movie, which would usually be a Columbo episode. I think audiences at that time, late 60s or early 70s, all through the 70s, were geared towards this hour and a half show that wasn't a series, and a lot of original television was shown, much like those theater.
The first quote unquote Columbo episodes were actually TV movies. Yeah,
all of them. A good chunk of them are. Each episode's about an hour and a half long.
Yeah, but it wasn't committed as a series yet. Like that, the first couple, they're just doing independent TV movies, and then they just let's just do a bunch of these.
But if you get collected Columbos, season 2 will have 6 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's they're movies over a span of like 3 years.
Right, but by that time they were committed to doing a series of them.
it would just whenever he would do one, another one
Right.
would come out.
But it started out as a just a
get them as
one off. Just
Yeah.
like this one started off as a one off. Yeah.
To get them as collected, the Columbos, to get them as collected on DVD, this is season 1, this is season 2, but
Yeah.
they just randomly came on through the
Anyways, they basically, those 2 TV movies were hugely successful, so they're like, let's do a series. Night Stalker TV series debuted on ABC September 13th, 1974. Ran for 20 episodes through March 28th, 1975. And in the series, he's working for the Independent News Service in Chicago, tackling strange crimes linked to creatures like werewolves, witches, and zombies. We mentioned Darren McGavin and Simon Oakland. You also had Tony Vincenzo, Ruth McDevitt as researcher Emily Cowles, among others. And it basically followed a kind of monster of the week structure, with Kolchak narrating his investigations and often battling both supernatural and dismissive authorities, because the authorities never learn that Kolchak is always right. They always think he's this nutbag chasing phantoms. Right. It's lauded. The series was lauded for its creative fusion of journalism and horror, though it ended after 1 season due to moderate ratings and production difficulties.
And Darren McGavin just did not like. I think he bumped heads with the director a lot. And David Chase, their creator of The Sopranos, he co-wrote 8 Kolchak episodes.
Nice.
Back in the day.
Well, you might, when you're hearing about this series, you may be thinking about another series that popped up in the 90s called The X-Files, and X-Files creator Chris Carter openly acknowledges that Night Stalker was the inspiration for that show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's Night Stalker, kids.
Yeah, and that's they're fun. They're really original ideas way before X-Files.
Yeah. My critique is it's a little bit repetitive, but a lot of these, I mean, like Columbo, you always know he's gonna trap the guy that thinks he's too stupid to trap him. You know, a lot of these, they had a riff they kind of followed, but the interesting part is watching how do they play out that riff this time. You know?
Yeah, totally. And then so you got Mannix, Night Stalker, The Rookies, 1972. 3 rookies take on the gritty, controversial topics of this time. Officer Terry Webster takes on very real struggles of being a black officer in the tumultuous times of the early 70s. Played by George Stanford Brown, who was married to Tyne Daly of Cagney and Lacey fame.
Oh, wow. There you go.
She was also in The Enforcer with Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, I remember that. And I'm sure you're going to touch on the Dirty Harry movies. We have to mention those eventually.
Absolutely.
But I used to come home from school. I was one of those latchkey kids, come home. Mom's still working for a couple hours. So the TV was my babysitter for a few hours, usually when I would get home. And reruns of The Rookies was a staple.
So season 3 of The Rookies, it ran 4 seasons. Season 3, episodes 20 and 21 were SWAT, part 1, part 2. And that was the pilot episode.
Oh, SWAT was a spinoff of The Rookies. That's badass.
And you cannot find season 3 of The Rookies.
Oh, wow.
It's just 1 and 2, I think, are around. You can go to some of these, DVD lady type places.
That's what I was going to ask about. Yeah, if it was on DVD lady.
There's a couple places that will burn them, but I can't tell if they're going to give you all 4 seasons and just not those episodes.
Right.
It's because what I've seen, you'll get season 3 and it just won't include episode 20 and 21. Like for some reason, it's just not. But SWAT, 2 seasons, 37 episodes, another show that the LAPD felt were kind of wrongly represented in the violence in that show, and they shit cammed that show due to the strong realism in the show.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I fucking love SWAT. I used to watch
SWAT
that
has one
all
of
the
the best
time.
theme songs going.
Oh yeah, I had that funk theme song. That was badass.
Yeah. A killer show. Love SWAT to death.
Yeah.
And then gotta talk about Kojak.
Yeah.
Telly, Who Loves You, Baby, Cigarillos or Lollipops. You don't fuck with this Greek bastard.
Well,
5 seasons.
Yeah, we got to just say, I got to tell you cats out there that Silky has been in the middle of watching Kojak for quite a while now.
On and off. Yeah.
On and off. So I'm getting currently just getting Kojak updates on a regular basis. So.
Yeah, who shows up in what? I'm currently in season 5. Episode 9 is a part 1 and 2, and I'm at the end of part 1. Stopping to bring this to you people.
Yeah.
So the sacrifices I make should be noted. But Kojak ran 5 seasons, 118 episodes, and then 8 TV movies.
Jesus.
Telly coming back.
So where are you watching?
Suit with James Garner doing the Rockford movies, and
and we've done a whole episode on Rockford, but we'll talk about it. But I want to ask you though, where are you watching the Kojak off of? Is it streaming?
It's on Prime Video.
Sweet. And are the movies on there or just the series?
Just the series.
Okay. Cool.
So, but I have a Kojak box set that has the pilot episodes. There were 2 pilot movies,
nice.
And then all the seasons. But it's easier just to pull it up on the TV. But
you got to have the box set or your collection.
Well, yeah, my collection has the 8 movies on there.
Yeah, there you go.
So I can watch the full telly. If you don't know Kojak, you don't know Jack.
There you go, or Co.
Yeah. And then so Rockford Files, we did a show on them, but 6 seasons, 123 episodes, 1 pilot movie, and 8 TV movies. Mm-hmm. If you don't know The Rock, you better find out.
Go back and listen to our episode on Rockford Files. It's one of the best written shows ever.
Yeah, James Garner.
I've got all that shit on DVD.
Yeah, you have to have that. Yeah. What I don't have are those part 1 and 2, the Rockford File movie sets.
Well, yeah, so Rockford Files came back in the 90s and they did a series of TV movies, and they're all there's one that I think is a little lame, but the rest of them are just fucking rock. That, and no pun intended, that you got to check them out. You definitely got to get those.
You just reminded me on the SWAT series. 2 discs, 37 episodids. 1 episode towards the end, I think it's the second to last episode, is like this flashback episode, and they show different bits from other episodes. That's the only one that's garbage, and the rest of the whole thing is just.
I would say with the Rockford Files, the last episode is garbage. He's barely in it. I don't know if you remember that episode. It was really lame. It was featuring like these 2 burglars, and like they're going to try to spin them off on a series. And then there's one of the 90s TV movies where it's just this really sentimental thing where he kind of adopts this young girl, and he's a fatherly figure to her, and it's not much of a story. Aside from those two, everything else in the Rockford Files just kicks ass.
Yeah. And then here's another one, Beretta, 4 seasons, Robert Blake and a cockatoo. Keep
I
your eye
watched
on the
that.
sparrow.
I used to watch that all the fucking time.
Yeah, Beretta
Yeah.
was so fucking good. When I was coming up, Beretta came on, and then Rockford Files came on right after it. It was like they were
1-2 punch.
how it was in, reruns or whatever.
Yeah.
But Beretta, you can only get that first season and like a best of Beretta collection. This is another one that I constantly kind of look for. I may pull the trigger and just roll the dice on one of these places that says, yeah, we've got all 4 a DVR version.
Yeah, bootleg, yeah.
See if, it's just, you just can't trust some of these things, But I took a chance with DVD Lady, and they're awesome. So
DVDlady.com. If there's a movie you can't find, she very likely has it. I've got I'm looking at my stack of DVD Lady DVDs.
Yeah,
it comes in a you order the least expensive version. It just comes in a little paper and plastic sleeve, and little it's totally homemade, burned onto a DVR, but I've watched so many movies that I could not find.
I mean, if you're trying to track something down, check their website.
Yeah.
And there are other sites just like them that have things. So don't give up if it's something you're really trying to find. But so there were just a slew of cop shows in this era. Tons of newly divorced families, hippie parents, struggling families in the inner cities as well as in the suburbs. Growing up, the 70s was a battlefield. Snags and I both were casualties of that dysfunctional.
We bitch about it on every episode, pretty much.
But so shows like Banachek, Deep Cut here, George Papard of A-Team fame. Banachek ran 2 seasons. Longstreet, you had a blind insurance agent. It ran for 1 season. So you had a blind insurance agent who's tracking down his wife's killers. And
Bruce, yeah, you're going to say it.
Bruce
Go
Lee,
ahead.
Checks in. James Franciscus and Pax the dog were what made Longstreet such a popular show.
Bruce Lee was on that show, and he was on Ironside.
Yeah. So then you had Streets of San Francisco, ran 5 seasons. Carl Malden, Michael Douglas would be in the first 4 seasons, and then Richard Hatch in season 5, Captain Apollo from Battlestar Galactica.
That show is another one with a badass theme song.
Yeah.
Just dripping with the funk. And I used to watch that one all the time as a kid too. Streets of San Francisco.
And the kids at this time, it was, it's like the fuse had been lit. They were throwing everything on TV. The kids had $6 Million Man, Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew, Mystery Hour. Those were very popular. The $6 Million Man, you had toys, the whole thing. Probably competed with Evel Knievel stuff, the $6 Million Man.
We all watched the $6 Million Man back in the day. That was a big. I mean, I think they rebooted the Bionic Woman because PC.
Yeah, that was a spin-off.
Strong woman character kind of thing. But
you had Wonder Woman, and so they wanted to have a female.
No, I'm not talking about the 70s Bionic Woman. I'm saying they rebooted the Bionic Woman. They did a more recent version because she's a strong woman, all that jibber jabber. But they really should take a stab at a $6 Million Man movie or a reboot of some kind. call it the $6 billion man now after inflation, but whatever.
Well, I would do a 70s retro and just have a badass.
Yeah. Well, they could do the comedy version, 70s retro with Will Ferrell,
Sure. I'd watch that.
I totally would, yeah.
But so for the ladies who don't remember Bev Garland's Decoy, Policewoman, sultry Angie Dickinson with Earl Hollerman as Sergeant Bill Crowley, Mr. Crowley.
Mr. Crowley.
Ran 4 seasons, 91 episodes, and Policewoman's another elusive one. You can buy the season 1, season 2, separate seasons, but they're like season 1 is like $80, and I'm like, you can keep that. I'm talking full collections of Kojak, 5 seasons, 8 movies, and it's like $30.
Nice.
So I'm not grabbing Policewoman, but Policewoman had some really well written, really good, gritty cop shit. It's a damn good show.
Angie Dickinson was a solid chick.
Yeah,
solid.
But I don't want you to go, oh yeah, this is some chick cop thing. This was really, really well written.
She was still a solid chick.
Yeah. And then in line with Policewoman, Charlie's Angels, 5 seasons, 115 episodes. You had Farrah Fawcett, Kate Jackson, the nurse in The Rookies, Jacqueline Smith, Cheryl Ladd, Shelley Hack, Tanya Roberts. Remember Tanya Roberts?
Yeah, the Farrah Fawcett slot kept getting replaced.
Yeah. But this show and Linda Carter as Wonder Woman in the 70s, goddamn.
Yeah. I used to watch Wonder Woman. That was a good one. And Charlie's Angels. Everybody watched. Charlie's Angels was like the $6 million man. Everybody fucking watched it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you didn't care. You just wanted to see Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah.
And then, on the lighter side, you had Barney Miller, a very popular show, 8 seasons. I mean, it ran 8 seasons, 170 episodes. Hal Linden, they were out of the New York East 6th Street, Greenwich Village, Lower Manhattan. The spinoff was Fish with Abe Vigoda, Sal Tessio from The Godfather.
Yeah, I think I saw a couple episodes of
Fish.
Those.
Yeah,
both of them.
Fish came on like after Welcome Back, Kotter, as how I remember it. But those were the days.
I never watched, I wasn't a regular Barney Miller viewer, but I probably saw a couple episodes. On the other hand, shows like SWAT and Streets of San Francisco and some of those other ones I watched, every night. I just sit down and
Barney Miller had the baddest theme song too. Just this bass thing.
They had the stand-up bass. They had so much good music in the fucking 70s, man, on these shows. It was just really good shit.
Then Barney Miller, many of these shows provided work for people on the rise and also some on the way out. Lots of older actors were popping onto these TV shows for work. 40s movie stars all the way up to William Shatner, Martin Sheen, Christopher Walken, Mark Hamill, who went on to blow up the Death Star. He was actually a coked out young kid in Streets of San Francisco. And
nice.
Halfway through that episode, Streets of San Francisco, I'm like, who the hell is the kid? Because it's the son that's the dad's trying to just come back, and he and he races off, and I'm like, who is that? And way into the show, he's talking to Carl Malden, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Luke Skywalker.
That's hilarious.
And this must have been right before he got sent to Uncle Owen,
right,
to work on the farm.
Yeah.
Before he went and
Well, there's no cocaine on that planet, so he dried out.
So it dried out.
Yeah.
But Mark Harmon, Lonnie Anderson, Danny DeVito, all these people would show up in some of these.
I get the regular text updates. Holy shit, so and so's on such and such.
Yeah.
Constantly.
David Soul and Paul Michael Glazer before their huge show. And then so that's for me why I watch these shows. It's nostalgic. But more so, you never know who's going to pop up on these shows, and it's just hilarious to.
Sylvester Stallone, you said, was on Kojak, right?
Stallone was on an episode of Kojak as a cop who accidentally shoots a pedestrian.
Well, I think you mentioned James Woods already, I think, but he's in one of the first Rockford Files episodes very early on. He's a bratty kid. He's like this bratty, spoiled kid of a
and he's just
guy.
Obnoxious. I remember him in that, and I'm like,
right.
And then so we got to talk about McLeod, Dennis Weaver. That shit ran. Dennis Weaver, 7 seasons, 45 episodes in a TV movie. And that was a show that I never quite, watched a couple, but
they did 7 seasons and they were only able to knock out 45 episodes.
That's because they're similar to the
they're like
Columbos.
I got you. Movies, basically 7 seasons of movies. Yeah, got
it. And then you had Cannon, Large and in Charge, William Conrad. Cannon is just so good. 122 episodes, a 1980 TV movie, a 2-hour pilot. The Return of Frank Cannon is that TV movie. And you had 2 crossovers. The pilot episode of Barnaby Jones has Frank Cannon, and then there's in season 4 of Barnaby Jones, The Deadly Conspiracy. So you had part 1 was on Cannon, and which was in Cannon season 5, and then part 2 was Barnaby Jones. And
nice.
So the controversy is when they show these in reruns, they run them together as one long episode, and they changed, for some reason, the guys on Cannon changed one crucial scene and changed the ending. So their episode by itself is on YouTube, but if you have the box sets, you'll see how they were originally. Really weird.
Odd. Yeah.
Odd. But Barnaby Jones, Buddy fucking Ebsen, 8 seasons, 178 episodes. Buddy Ebsen, former dancer in the 50s.
Jed Clampett.
Jed Clampett. A very odd-looking cat. And what I like about Cannon is you'll have these fight scenes, and it's not William Conrad.
It's the same thing with Mannix. Yeah, the wide shot, and they're doing the hardcore fighting, and then close up. It's like this kind of
it's just so good to me. And Barnaby Jones, he's like 65, and rather than getting fist fights, they'll get some distance between, and Barnaby Jones just shoots the bastard.
Oh, that's smart. That's smart. Yeah.
And he's like, bam, and the guy's dead.
Yeah, so basically that's where they stole that Raiders of the Lost Ark scene from.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you can't talk about Raymond Burr without bringing up Ironsides. 8 seasons, 199 episodes. Perry Mason in a wheelchair, basically.
There you go.
Raymond 2 Plates Burr, I call him. He could clear a room with a beer fart. Notable guest stars on Ironsides: Tiny Tim, Susan St. James, Harrison Ford.
Nice.
Desi Arnaz, Jackie Cooper, Bill motherfucking Bixby.
Oh, nice. Bill Bixby.
Yeah. David Cassidy, David Carradine, Rod Serling on Ironsides, Martin Sheen, Jack 5-0 Lord, John Saxon, Enter the Dragon, George Takei, Mr. Sulu, comes down to Earth and does a episode on Ironsides.
Nice.
Jody, he called you names. He called you a little piece of chicken, Foster.
Nice.
Ricardo Montalban, Burgess Meredith, Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
Yep.
I was waiting for that one. I was going to
Yep.
drop it because we mentioned it earlier, but had to mention it again.
This is interesting. George Takei, Bill Shatner, DeForest Kelley, Walter Koenig all did episodes of Ironsides.
That was the guest star turnstile. It sounds like it's constant.
Oh, and Frank Gorshin, the Riddler from the old Batman. So
the biggest one of them all, right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Taylor Swift.
Bridge,
Taylor Swift was on Ironsides.
The Enterprise is on Ironside. I mean, they must have shut the. They must have been, shut the.
Justin Bieber, he was on Ironside.
No, I don't think so. But they must have shut the Enterprise down for a month to get all these guys. I don't think they're in the same episode though. But so that's Ironsides. We mentioned Jack Lord, Bookham Dano, Hawaii 5-0, a huge show. I love this show. I'm currently somewhere in season 5 of this one. 12 seasons, 281 episodes. Jack Lord. No 5-0, no Magnum PI. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, they rebooted that one too.
Yeah, they with James Caan's son as the main guy.
So the one of the most significant cultural reverberations of that show is that a killer fucking band took their name from the bad guy in Hawaii 5-0, Wofat.
Yes,
so,
I meant to bring that up and I didn't.
Yeah, you gotta check out Wofat if you haven't heard them. They're fucking stoner desert doom rock, just amazing fucking band.
And obviously we have to mention Starsky and Hutch, one of the penultimate 70s shows.
We did a whole episode on those cats.
Yeah. Theme song from season 2 is their best. Captain Dobie, Huggy Bear, 4 seasons, 93 episodes. They did a remake movie. Snoop Dogg was Huggy Bear.
I have to say, Huggy Bear, whether it's being played by Antonio Fargas or Snoop Dogg, is the contender for the best character from that whole 70s
just era. As a kid, Huggy Bear, I thought, man, I could be his friend,
Well, I mean, and
that dude.
How are you going to know what the word on the street is if you don't go hang with Huggy Bear?
Condor.
Hey, what's the word on the street, El Condor?
Nothing going down.
Yeah.
We're talking about Starsky and Hutch.
Oh,
nice stuff, huh? All right, do your thing.
Check out the website. We got Legos. We got Funko Pops. We got action figures.
Blu-rays.
We got Blu-rays.
Wow, 2 rays.
Yeah, we got 40,000 rays.
We got Transformers.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they come in discs and stickers.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what the Transformers look like.
Did you wash your hair?
Yeah.
Okay. Parenting.
There you go.
All right, son. Close that door. You're the best. El Condor, baby.
El Condor in the house. Resident spokesman.
Starsky and Hutch. You had the Gran Torino. I mean, we checked the old show, but man, you can't mention Starsky and Hutch enough.
No, we did a whole episode on it. Look it up. It's totally awesome. Yeah.
They even had 8 novelizations paperback of specific episodes. It was that popular. It was that popular.
That's another one I used to watch all the time as a kid. In addition to rewatching most of it, the last couple of years.
Well, I mean, that's the one. I had to get a solid box set of that, and then that just bled into getting Rockford Files, and what I'm happy about is Hawaii Five-0 is just on Prime, and you can watch. You don't have to track down.
I'm sure we're going to spend some time on Rockford Files, right?
Well, we mentioned it, and we had the whole show about it.
Yeah.
What else do you have to say about Rockford?
Well, I mean, just let's talk about it a little bit. We talked about Starsky and Hutch. So basically, you have Jim Rockford, who's this perennially down on his luck PI who lives in a fucking trailer and can't catch a break. And
always gets punched out.
Always gets beat. The
slew of hotties,
Yeah, that's the one good thing in his life. Every client is some sexy woman who he ends up fucking. But aside from
doesn't pay him,
right?
It's
they never pay their bill, but he does get some off him usually, so it's just the opposite of these shows like Mannix, where it's this guy who's got it all together and everything's happening, and he's always on the ball. It's a complete opposite of that kind of shit. It's hilarious. And then Angel, the sidekick, who's always running.
As a kid, I remember watching that show and just hating Angel because he was such a convict and would always get
it's always getting Rockford in trouble. And that character is hilarious. And I have to say, when you do get that box set of the 90s TV movies, he's just as funny. He's still there. He's still up to the same shit. It's just fucking hilarious.
I love it. So a huge 70s show, much like Charlie's Angels, everybody watched it. Chips.
Chips. That was a cusp 70s into the 80s, but yeah.
It ran 6 seasons. Larry Wilcox left after season 5. 139 episodes and a TV movie Chips reunion, like in the 90s, like way later, 1999 or something. They brought it out. But Eric Estrada was like all over it. But all these TV shows hugely popular. But we wanted to get into some of the movies that mirrored what was going on TV, possibly TV mirroring what was in the movies.
Before we do that, I just want to drop, and we don't have to get into detail, Emergency. It wasn't a cop show, but it was I
was going to mention that.
Yeah, emergency paramedic firefighter kind of unit, always getting called out on interesting, crazy situations. I used to watch that one all the time too.
And so Emergency brushed elbows with the guys from Adam 12.
Yeah, there was some crossover, right?
Yeah, with Adam 12 specifically, those cops. And Adam 12 was a great show. Very light though, like cop light.
Yeah, Emergency wasn't gritty either, but it was fun. It was a fun show.
Yeah, and that whole Emergency is on Paramount Plus, and you can watch that.
Oh, nice.
So just interesting to kick back and watch a couple of those. With our movie spotlight, we were talking about Bullet, 1968, a 325 HP. 390 FE V8 Ford Mustang GT Fastback that Steve McQueen drove in that movie. Epic car chase. This would influence, I feel like, if you don't have Bullet, you don't have Starsky and Hutch. A lot of these cop shows, they always had to have a cool car.
Well, in Starsky and Hutch specifically, there was a movie that inspired it. That we talked about in that episode, and I'm drawing a blank on the name.
I've directly got that in here. Busting.
Yeah, directly Busting. Inspired Starsky and Hutch.
so Bullet, Dirty Harry, Clint Eastwood, 3 movies in the 70s. Dirty Harry, Magnum Force, and The Enforcer. The Enforcer had Tyne Daly in it. But those were just gritty as they got. The first Dirty Harry kind of mimicked the Zodiac Killer, and then it just went from there. There ended up being 5 Dirty Harry movies, but those 3 in the 70s are just fantastic.
I marathoned all of those a couple years ago again, just to, and they're great flicks. And that first Dirty Harry movie, you can't underestimate the influence of that movie. That blew everybody, because it was, it's the beginning of the 70s, and it's when you're going from this kind of happy, light kind of fare into just the darker, grittier stuff. And they actually wanted John Wayne for that role, and he turned it down because it was too dark. And then it just blew up. And then he did his own, I forget what the movie was, but he did his own kind of imitation of Dirty Harry after it blew up, because he's like, oh, maybe
it's like MacGyver.
It's MacGyver or something like that. That's
shit.
Yeah, McClintock, I think.
McClintock, I think.
Yeah, but you can't. That movie set the tone for the 70s gritty crime drama.
What's incredible too is you got some guy in a just another Western TV show, Rawhide, and he goes off to Italy and just bizarrely hits pay dirt.
Yeah, spaghetti westerns.
Incredible movies. And then comes back, and his good buddy in Hollywood says, "Hey, let's do a movie," and they do Hang 'Em High. And then Don Siegel says, "Hey, let's do this Dirty Harry," and amazingly, Clint Eastwood reinvents himself again.
Yeah.
And he's not just the Western. I mean, he could have been stereotyped just
the cowboy guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Dirty Harry just allowed him to be something else as well. And God, they're so good. And then we got to talk about Roy Scheider, the 7-Ups. The 7-Ups is like classy New York gritty cop movie. Fucking amazing movie, really gritty, dirty cops, and that goes right into the French Connection. And French Connection 2 is one of those rare times
sequels.
Is just as, if not better, as the
you don't mess with Popeye Doyle. You don't even want to think about it.
And Gene, rest in peace, Hackman.
Yeah.
Still not sure how he has passed away.
Yeah, but let's just forget about that and move on. We don't need to know. Yeah. nothing to see here.
Keep moving.
Let's just move on.
But so right in with these, like if you want gritty cop, Dirty Harry, 7-Ups, French Connection 1 and 2, Serpico, Corrupt Cops, True Story, Al Pacino, one of his better movies.
Serpico's amazing corrupt cop movie based on a book based on Frank Serpico's real experience of almost getting killed trying to deal with the corrupt cops and
I mean, outnumbered. He could have been a stain in an alley.
Oh yeah, no, that movie is riveting. Serpico's riveting fucking movie.
And then we mentioned Pacino. Obviously, we're not going to talk about The Godfather 1 and 2, but Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah, another one. Rewatched that one recently.
It was Fredo Casale is in this.
Yeah.
Pacino, Sex Change Money. It just doesn't get any grittier than Dog Day Afternoon.
So we did a John Cassell episode, and we cover it in there. But just a fantastic movie.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah.
And then we're still in the 70s. Cops, Death Wish 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Both of those, Bronson, Vigilante Justice, a horrific rape scene in there. You got a young Jeff Goldblum is a villain in there.
Well, is one. There were a lot of Dirty Harry ripoffs after
Yeah.
Dirty Harry, and this is kind of one of them, but it's the most successful of them. I think it has a voice of its own.
And I think Bronson kind of he's got a slew. If you look up Charles Bronson and just check out a lot of his movies, he's always alone. He almost did Eastwood better than Eastwood. Cold Sweat. There's just a slew of Bronson movies where he's doing his thing with a gun and just a badass. And then the Starsky and Hutch movie Busting. This was Elliot Gould, just brilliance.
And that wasn't technically Starsky and Hutch, but it was a buddy cop movie that the creator of Starsky and Hutch said this directly inspired Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah. And then Elliot Gould did a great movie, The Long. Do you remember that?
The Long Goodbye. The Long Goodbye was a direct influence on The Big Lebowski.
Yeah,
and that is a what's the Philip Marlowe movie? It's a 70s Philip Marlowe who's just kind of slacker who
slow pacing, which I think influences Columbo or even Rockford.
The Long Goodbye. It was like the Coen brothers admit it's a direct influence on The Big Lebowski, but if you watch The Long Goodbye, it is obviously a direct influence on Rockford. It's basically the detective who just nothing goes right for him, and he's always getting himself in a tangle that he can't handle, and it's a slacker 70s version of Philip Marlowe, anti-hero guy who just can't win, and Rockford is a direct and same with his Philip Marlowe movie that James Garner did. Yeah, same thing. That's a direct influence on the Rockford Files. I just want to say something about Charles Bronson. He did a series, and this is skipping ahead a little bit, but just since we mentioned him, did a series of movies for Canon Pictures with that J. Lee Thompson directed, and that are basically some of the Tarantino basically says there's some of the only 80s movies that still kept that 70s grittiness. So it's definitely worth, like 10 to Midnight is one of them. Kinjite, Forbidden Subjects, The Evil That Men Do. Look up J. Lee Thompson and Charles Bronson on Wikipedia. Check out the movies they did together. They were mostly in the 80s for Canon Pictures, and they're worth watching. They're gritty as hell. Yeah.
So in that buddy cop thing, Freebie and the Bean, one of the best, James Caan and Alan Arkin. You have to see this movie, Freebie and the Bean. James, they shot Sonny on the Causeway. Caan and Alan Arkin, just a good action movie, but it's hilarious. I feel like they just ad-libbed a lot of their scenes because they're just back and forth.
Alan Arkin is just hilarious.
Yeah.
Anytime you see him in anything, that guy.
This is one of those movies that Freebie and the Bean. You got one of the best buddy cop movies. Definitely without Freebie and the Bean, you don't have Lethal Weapon, and those, it's very similar.
Right.
And then pre-Beretta, Electric Electra Glide in Blue.
That's
This
a good one.
This is the Easy Rider of cop movies. Robert Blake is a rookie, and just it's just such a. You could only make a movie like this in the 70s. Real strange.
that was a strange vibe movie. It was interesting. It was a very interesting movie, though. Motorcycle cops, almost. Magnum Force had that vigilante group of motorcycle cops who Clint Eastwood is fighting, and as Tarantino says, Dirty Harry got a lot of slack for its extreme tough on crime stance. And Magnum Force, he says, is like the rare instance where the sequel is an apology for the original movie, right? So Dirty Harry's getting all this criticism for being too tough and too reckless. So the second movie, they invent some cops that are even more tough and reckless than Dirty Harry, and he's stopping them, right?
Well, but, you get Suzanne Summers is completely topless, bouncing
in
around
a pool scene, in the pool scene.
Phenomenal.
But that band of renegade motorcycle cops kind of reminds me of the motorcycle cops in Electric Light and Blue. A little bit, But Electric Light and Blue is like this weird surreal take on it. It's like if Dennis Hopper did a 70s cop movie.
Yeah, that's why I called it the Easy Rider of cop movies.
I agree.
And then, so going back to like your gritty New York, the 7-Ups type thing, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Oh, God damn, that's so good. And the ending, the ending is just amazing. The last few moments of that movie.
And The Laughing Policeman is another Walter Matthau. These are two excellent examples of gritty 70s cop action. The Laughing Policeman, I had to just buy it because I couldn't find it anywhere. But it's Walter Matthau. He did a slew of these action films.
Yeah.
And he's so good in anything he's in, really. And then this is a rare one you don't hear about. I only read of it. It's called The Blue Knight. William Holden and Lee Remick. This is another cop thing. This was a TV movie, and I thought it was, when I saw it, I thought it was going to be a movie. This was actually his first major TV appearance in decades, when he agreed to do this depiction of a LAPD beat cop. It was nominated for 5 Emmys. It won 3. Best acting for Holden. It pioneered novels for television. So this was like a big book, apparently, and they've adapted it, and it kind of started a trend, if you will. But Sam Elliott is in this. Ann Archer, a real young Ann Archer, little naughty vixen Ann Archer. But The Blue Knight. Good stuff.
Nice.
And that's deep cuts. You're not going to just run into that unless you listen to our show.
That's right. Damn it.
And then finally, The New Centurions. And this is a controversial one. I think this has all the cop cliches in one movie. Training day to shootouts, being on the take. 3 rookies see it all, and a tragic turn at the end. This is neo-noir action crime flick. I would say this is a movie that cops of 1972 possibly did not want you to see. The New Centurions. George C. Scott, Stacy Keach, Scott Wilson, Jane Alexander. Music by Quincy Jones. They really, put some money into this. But you watch it, and even me, there were times where I was like, wow, that's, I wasn't quite, I don't want to say comfortable because I'm not like that. But I was like, man, that's fucked up, but it runs the gamut.
So you can find that one on Tubi. Apparently, I noticed. I'm looking it up. It's not on Amazon, but it is on Tubi. Not on Amazon Prime. You can get the DVD on Amazon.
I think I bought this one and the Blue Knight because I had, I was reading about them last year, and I'm like, fuck, I got to check these out, and couldn't quite do it. But so the last part of this episode. It was just kind of throwing stuff at the wall. And we should do a proper blaxploitation episode, but
you can't talk about 70s crime movies without tipping the hat, though.
So definitely tip the hat to Uptight. Came out in '68. Booker T and the MGs did the soundtrack. Uptight is a great movie. Black Angels, 1970, is the outlaw black biker gang movie. That's one you don't find around. I actually have a DVD of that. In the Heat of the Night, and They Call Me Mr. Tibbs. Sidney Poitier, one of the greatest.
Yeah,
those two are huge. Cotton Comes to Harlem. Pam Grier, anything that the Mac, Foxy Brown, Coffee, Sweetback's Badass Song, Shaft. Pam Grier did one called Hitman that is phenomenal. Across 110th Street, you got to mention Across 110th Street. Yaphet Kotto, Anthony Quinn. That's a great one. Great song, great soundtrack. Hammer, Fred Williamson. Superfly, obviously. Ron O'Neal. Curtis Mayfield did soundtracks for a lot of shit. Black Belt Jones, Jim Kelly of Enter the Dragon. There's just so many.
And
Black Sun, Black Seas.
And just to loop back around to the Pam Grier stuff, the director on Foxy Brown and a couple of those other ones was this cat named Jack Hill, and he is a great action director. He did Foxy Brown, he did Coffee. He also did some others that are not exactly blaxploitation, but are great movies from that era. Switchblade Sisters, good crime, female gang movie. The Swinging Cheerleaders, it's a great exploitation movie. The Big Birdcage, female women in prison. But Jack Hill, if you see anything that's directed by Jack Hill, fucking watch it. That guy was really a great filmmaker.
Stop what you're doing and watch it if you run it. Just literally
like if you're taking a shit, just freeze and watch it. Watch the whole movie on your phone before you wipe your ass.
Before you do anything.
Yeah. Seriously, Jack Hill.
So that's the whole 70s via the 20s to the 50s to the this is how we do it, man. I gave you
how we fucking roll.
I gave you the whole history in under almost just over an hour. You can't travel that quickly.
It's actually an hour and 13 minutes, but just over an hour.
Just over an hour.
Yeah, you said just under, but anyway.
But there you go, guys.
There you go, kids. That's 70s cop shows, crime shows, and movies in a fucking nutshell. So keep it real. We got more shit lined up, all kinds of amazing shit. Fucking go tell people about this podcast. This shit rocks, man. And
the
we should not be having to drive to jobs every day. We should be rich because this is so amazing.
Just the detail in research. I'm like,
come on.
This is pretty fucking.
Plus, we're just naturally entertaining. Tell your friends.
And you get.
There's keep this good shit to yourself. Tell everybody.
Playlist with this episode, Eyes on the Sparrow on Spotify. So check that shit out.
Yeah. All right. Peace out, motherfuckers.
Peace out, kids. Deuces.